Have you ever spent hours creating slides only to feel they weren't quite right? Have you tried AI tools but ended up more overwhelmed than supported? And what if you could generate a full lesson in minutes instead of hours? In this video, we're exploring how EdCafe's slide deck feature can help you create ready-to-use teaching slides quickly and easily. I'll show you what it does, how it works, and how to actually use it in your classroom. Let me start by sharing my learning outcomes first for this video so that you know exactly what I want to accomplish today. By the end, you'll be able to identify key features, use slide deck to generate content, and adapt AI-generated slides to your lessons. Research also shows that guiding questions support learning, so stop the video and keep these in mind to make the most of it. How can slide deck reduce my planning time? What should I edit in AI-generated slides? How can I use this in real lessons? Let's start with the reality. Lesson planning takes time. A lot of time. And with AI tools everywhere, many teachers feel overwhelmed rather than supported. You try one tool, then another, and suddenly you're spending more time learning tools than actually planning lessons. That's where EdCafe's slide deck feature comes in. It's designed as an AI-powered assistant that generates slides for you automatically. You simply input your topic, like present perfect, for example, and it creates a full deck with content and visuals. Now, that sounds amazing, right? And it is, but there's an important detail. The slides are a starting point, not the finished product. For example, when I created a slide deck on the present perfect, some of the content didn't fully match what I wanted. That's a key point. AI saves time, but it still needs your teaching expertise, and the tool is as good as its master. In other words, a bad prompt or unclear set of instructions will produce a poor result, regardless of the tool. Let's see what I mean in this video. Okay, so now we're going to create a slide deck right from scratch to see exactly what the process looks like. Now, very important, as I mentioned before, is that the tool is as good as its master. So we need to make sure that we are prepared. We can, of course, create slides on the go, but what I tend to do is think in advance, what is it that I want to do, that I need in the slides, and then thinking of the different parts, then have that information ready, and I'm going to show you how. So being on EdCafe, I go to create new, and it's going to give me two options, activities and assessments, and content and planning. Today I'm focusing on slide deck. So I'm going to click on slide deck, and it's going to ask me for a topic, a text. I can add websites, and I can add files as well. So I'm going to start with topic. What I meant before, that I'm usually ready, or I think about specific information in prompts before I use it to make sure that the output is as good as possible, and I need to do little tweaking rather than doing a lot, then is to prepare that. So for the topic, in this case, I want to talk about the present perfect in class. I want to introduce this grammar point to my students. So I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to add it under topic. That's my topic. There you go. Text, I'm going to copy these different pieces of information that are related to the past simple and the present perfect, and how we use the two tenses with specific reference to finish time, and also periods of time and time reference. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to add it under text. Now I'm going to add an YouTube video URL. I found one that is very nice about the present perfect from English, and I watched it already, and I think the content is good. So remember, we also need to always keep the human in the loop, checking that the information that we're sharing is useful and that it is appropriate and correct in what we need. And so the content is fine, and it has basically 6.33 million subscribers and 3.6 million views. So the content is fine. There's lots of views. That means that it's good quality. I'm going to copy the link and I'm going to add it to the web page. Here we go. And then files, if we wanted to add any files, we could add them here. For this specific case, I'm not going to add any. I'm just going to add instructions, extra instructions, make it suitable for CFR B1 students of English who are 10 to 12 years old, and these are my students. Number of slides below 10 and English. And then we can choose the theme. I'm going to choose my students. I'm going to choose comic. My students are going to like it. So let's click generate slides. Please upload documents. Okay, well, I don't want to upload any documents, so I'm just going to go back. Generate slides. Now it is generating the slides. Very important again, AI supports teaching, but we teachers inspire it. That has become kind of like my slogan. So now that we have the slides, what I need to do is, instead of starting from scratch, I can actually then see what the output is, see if it is aligned to my learning outcomes for this lesson, and if the information that is given me in the visuals support my main aim. Now, it's given me 8 slides, and I have present perfect tense. I think that should be okay. I have a specific story that I usually use with my students because it embeds the language and it's story-based. So I'm putting them mentally in that story, and that way it is easier for them to understand the grammar rules later. So there's some pedagogic decisions made before that. So I think the slides are great. Let's see, because they're mostly ready. I just need to double check what is the structure. The picture can be maybe a little bit too much text there, but that's okay. I can always replace it if I want to with clicking replace and describing it, or remove it, and also change the position. Here it says the present perfect uses have, has plus the past participle, some information that I can recognize from the YouTube video, which is correct. Regular and irregular verbs, also correct and important to note when we're talking about the present perfect. I'm not 100% sure the regular verb endings for Spanish are relevant, but I can always change that. And this is so important because EdCafe, the slide deck generator, is doing most of the work for me, but obviously I still need to supervise and check and adapt and revise. When do we use it? We use it when the past connects to now. I like how it is relevant, like the past and the present, and how it is connected through the bridge. So I think that's usable for life experiences. So this could help me with when checking understanding. Here, there's the present perfect versus the past simple, which is something that usually happens with students, that they confuse it. So a timeline is definitely useful to present it and clarify it using the concept checking questions. Questions and negatives, we change word order for questions. Okay, that's also useful. Practical, easy practice ideas. So try short exercise every day to improve. Tell 3 things you have done today. That's good. Make questions for a friend. Okay, that's a nice activity that could be done in class. And then wrap up in next steps. So you know the basics of the present perfect now, structure, use connections for connection to the present, watch the irregular verbs, practice with questions and negatives, keep learning with short daily practice. I think this is okay. I just need to change this image here. I'm going to show you how to do it. So I'm going to change it, and I'm going to ask for irregular verb endings in English and just do a search. Oh, okay. I just want one image that helps students get the idea but doesn't distract them from what we're doing. So in English, I'm just going to go for this one, irregular verbs. because it's just an image to support that. So that's fine. When to use it, the timeline, and everything else should be fine. Practice ideas and the wrap up. Now, with this, I know that I can save it and I can add a name. So present perfect for and since, for example. My library, where am I going to save it? This is for my B1 students. I'm going to save it. And I have it there already. So it's generating a description. I can assign it to a class. I can export it into Google Slides or Microsoft PowerPoint. I can also edit it if I go back to where we were before. Now, I usually use the present perfect with a story. So I would add an introduction to that story here. So for example, if I add a slide, I want to write here the family reunion, which is called the story. And just that, as simple as that, generate the slide. That's the one that I know in my presentation when I'm in class, the one that I'm going to look at first. And the picture is fine. It's more like a cue for me in the classroom to move on to my story. So very easy, save, and then I can see the slide there. I can go home again to my library, the recent content. If I go to my library, I have in my B1 folder, I have 3 presentations. The one that I just created with you, then one that I created with a story. I'm going to just show it to you very quickly. And here you can see the upload is my story. I created it with a Gemini storybook for my students. And I can see it here if I want to go onto full screen. And then the lower left, I can just go through the different slides. And overall is fine. Maybe one small criticism is that these images are not always the right size. And also, in my experience, I tend to make the writing a lot bigger and so the amount of writing is fine, but I would just make it bigger to better use the space. For example, this one I would need to change, but the information is correct when I'm recapping things. And that would be the only thing that I would make sure that I can change the size of the font because I want to be able to better use the space. So for example, there's lots of empty space here that I could exploit either with removing the image, adding a different image, or just simply with the text. But overall, definitely useful and definitely something that gives me the possibility to save time when planning, and so I don't have to start from scratch. Definitely, I'm going to give it 8 out of 10 to EdCafe for the slide deck generator. So let's talk about solutions. First, use slide deck for speed. Instead of starting from a blank screen, you instantly get a structured lesson. This reduces cognitive load and helps you focus on refining rather than creating from scratch. As highlighted in video-based learning principles, removing non-essential effort helps learners and teachers focus on what matters most. Also, input as much clear information about your topic as possible for better output. This is essential. Second, edit strategically. Don't try to fix everything. Focus on 3 areas: accuracy, clarity, and relevance. Check that the language examples are correct, simplify explanations where needed, and adapt content to your students' level. Think of yourself as the editor, not the creator. And third, personalize the slides. This is where the real magic happens. Add your own examples, include student names, or connect the content to real classroom situations. For instance, if you're teaching present perfect, you might add, have you ever visited Barcelona, for example? Something your students can relate to immediately. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're teaching tomorrow and you have no slides ready. You open EdCafe, generate a slide deck in minutes, then spend 10 to 15 minutes refining it. You adjust examples, remove anything confusing, and add one quick speaking activity. Suddenly, you've gone from 0 to a complete lesson in under 20 minutes. That's the real value here, not perfection, but progress. And importantly, this aligns with good instructional design. Keep content simple, avoid overload, and focus on clear, meaningful input. Slide deck gives you the structure, but you bring in the pedagogy, and this is so important. So, what are the key takeaways? First, slide deck saves you time by generating structured lessons instantly depending on your input. Second, it works best when you edit and adapt the content. And third, your teaching expertise is still essential. AI supports learning, but we teachers inspire it. This is what I've been saying all along. If you found this helpful, check out EdCafe and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me on Learning Together with Robert for more practical teaching tips. And remember, learning is fun and you don't have to do it alone. So let's learn together with Robert.